Hi everyone, I'm Jason Jenkins, the editor of CNET UK, welcoming you to the CNET UK podcast, number 321, live from the CNET stage at CES in Las Vegas. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the coolest kit we've seen at the show and some of the rubbish bits as well. But before we start, a reminder that if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, make sure you go to the CNET and look for the video version of it, because it's pretty cool. With me this week is podcast regular Luke Westaway.
Hello.
Hello. And plus a very, very special guest. He's a tech columnist for Reader's Digest and presenter of the amazing Answer Me This podcast. Welcome, Mr. Olly Mann.
Hello. Wow. I've got 4 times the pixels of an ordinary podcaster. It's good to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. How's the show been for everyone so far?
It's been all right. It's been okay.
Okay.
Well, I think it's sort of... I'm kind of feeling it out. Nothing's blown my mind, but nothing's really upset me.
Okay,
I mean, nothing's hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any technology that's physically harmed me. Although I did see this laser burning thing that was etching something in wood, and I got a little wood etching from it, and that was really cool because it was an extremely precise laser etching that was being done, and it looked phenomenal. But because it was burned wood, it did smell quite bad, and I put it in my pocket, and then my pocket smelled bad, and then I put it in my hotel room. When I came back, my hotel room smelled.
It's a good story. I hope you've got more like that. Right, let's crack on with the themes of the show. Right, we always start with the themes of the show.
Was that not one of the themes of the show? Surely that was the top tech.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing is it's always about TVs, isn't it? So what's the big TV thing this year, Luke?
There are 2 big TV things. So the first is OLED, which is a display technology, as you may or may not know, that is currently most popular in smartphones. So loads of smartphones use this. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and when you blow this display tech up to proper TV size, it looks mind-blowingly gorgeous. So you get this amazing contrast ratio. You just get these really, really deep, bright colors, and it just looks fantastic.
What have you seen that's an OLED TV?
I've seen basically everyone's got one, but Sony's is the most impressive because it adds in.
How do you factor that in? Because they all look the same to me. To the naked eye, they are all amazing, but I cannot differentiate between the Samsung one, the Sony one, the Panasonic one, the LG one.
Well, there's this thing, right? What you do is you look at it, and at the bottom, there's normally a little word. It says Panasonic or Sony or whatever, and that's pretty much it.
Well, I also worry sometimes whether, if I was looking at a normal LCD screen as well, if they were showing the same images of a leaf. It's always a leaf, isn't it? A leaf, a waterfall.
Copyright-free leaf.
A copyright-free leaf. I'm not sure with the contrast whacked up high that I'd always be able to tell the difference. Like, you never really know until you watch a film on it, do you? That's the thing.
Are you trying to shatter the myth that there is much difference between most TVs? Because I think we might have to stop this podcast early if you're going there, Olly.
But there is difference between OLED TV and the LED TVs that we've seen, right? Because OLED looks a lot better than normal TV. Plus, there are 2 4K OLED TVs. So do you want to explain a bit what 4K is and what those products are?
So 4K is another very exciting display technology because it just has a phenomenal number of pixels. It's got about 4 times as much as 1080p as full HD. So when you're looking at it, it's like the first time you looked at HD, but a little bit more. It's just a bit more HD.
Ultra HD is what they're calling it here.
Yeah.
So 4K is one thing that you see in the cinemas, and there's also Ultra HD. Now there is actually a reason for that, and I know you're worried about this. The reason is that the 4K you get in cinemas is actually something like 7% wider than the 4K you get on a TV, because the aspect ratio is a bit different. That's why you get the bars at the bottom and the top. So hence the name Ultra HD. So there you go. Anyway, sorry I interrupted.
That's fine. But Sony's done something very cool. It's made a 4K OLED TV. That's something I've seen, and it really, I saw it and was just kind of awed by it. Yeah. It was like chancing upon the first time.
I was moved. According to their new corporate slogan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Almost to tears.
One thing I did notice is that even from the back of the press conference at Sony where I was, it did look very crystal clear in a way that actually an HD or an LCD TV wouldn't. In the same way, you can get very, very close up, can't you? And you don't notice the pixels. I mean, that is noticeable straight away that even right from the other end of the hall, it still looked like a really crystal sharp display.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks beautiful.
There's another use of OLED that you've seen as well, Olly, haven't you? The multi-view TV from Samsung.
Oh yeah, I do kind of think this is sort of end of days, this stuff, really. And I'm a bit of an evangelist for the second screen, you know, the second screen, tweet whilst you're watching TV, all that stuff. But when you're actually literally putting a second screen in the big screen so that you and your partner can be watching different things or playing different games at the same time, I just think there's something a little bit depressing about that idea for a family, to be honest.
So it's one TV
Yeah.
with, and you get what, 2 glasses or something, and how does,
Yeah,
and
two
then,
sets of glasses, and you don't get crosstalk. That's a new word that I learned from the Samsung press conference. No crosstalk.
At last.
do you know how to measure for crosstalk? This
on.
is a little pro tip. You put the glasses on, and you go like that.
Oh, really? Just slightly out of
Like
centre?
that. And if you go like that, and the images separate, that's crosstalk.
It's
There
amazing
you
on
go.
video. We're all now doing this. Oh no, I'm the only one still doing it. Okay. Sorry.
I also love the inherent sexism as well of all of those presentations where they're like, you want to watch one thing, but say my wife wants to watch something
Oh,
else.
yeah.
And you're just like, okay, you're making a lot of assumptions there. Firstly, everyone here at the press conference is male. Secondly, they're all straight. Thirdly, they've all got a wife. And fourthly, that the wife would have completely different taste to them because they're a woman. It's like, come on, text for everyone, people.
Yeah, but you've got to remember that press conferences exist in this weird fantasy land where people like watching leaves. And
Leaves
stuff.
are-
Yeah, leaves
well, they are
or
very
clouds
enigmatic,
over
as we said.
mountains.
I like watching leaves.
Leaves
Am I-
are beautiful.
Am I special for that? Okay, fine. What else has there been? Oh, NFC. That's something I'm quite excited about. Maybe it's just me, but it is exciting. So on the Sony stand, they've got some really interesting uses for NFC, and it's a technology that's been on phones for ages, and there's been loads of NFC phones, and it's supposed to. I thought it was just for paying for things, and that's kind of taking a while to work out. But actually, what it does is it helps one thing talk to another thing that otherwise it wouldn't talk to each other. So they had a TV and a phone, and they've both got something called Miracast on it. Stay with me. You pick up your phone and you tap it on the remote, and then what's on the phone is projected onto the TV, and you can swivel around and do that. And that's the NFC kind of establishes the pair between those two things, and then Bluetooth takes over and sort of does the file transfer. Also, they've got a little file transfer system, like a box, and you put your phone on top of it. It uses NFC to pair, and then the box sucks off any pictures or video or whatever you've got on your phone and backs it up onto its hard disk. But the thing you probably use it for is play music. So you play music on your phone, you tap the phone onto boombox. They had a boombox and it was like this big. It was insane. And music comes out of there. You don't need to with Bluetooth you normally have to press pair, and then you've got to have a
it's
code,
cumbersome, isn't it,
and
modern
it
life?
gets rid of all that. So
It does.
thumbs up NFC, I think.
If NFC becomes really popular in the future, do you think there's a chance that we'll lose the dexterity to handle cables and sockets, and we'll just childishly push one piece of technology into another?
I think there's every chance
Just
that'll happen.
mashing my computer
Yeah.
into a television.
Like kids who don't know how to read books because they've grown up with tablet computers, so they
Yeah.
do that on pages.
Oh my
Be
word.
that, but just, no, speak to me. Slaps forehead, I should say, for the audio people. Yeah. But the Sony one, they're all their one-touch stuff.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong in saying that only works with Sony products?
You may or may not be. No one really knows, including Sony. It should, to be honest, work with most. It should work.
Okay, then that's cool,
but
isn't it?
No one really knows because obviously there's an almost infinite number of products. So until you test them all, who knows really? The TV thing only works if both things have got Miracast, which is a Sony technology, but they are licensing it. But they're kind of just music stuff that should work. Maybe.
The problem, what it'll take for NFC to take off is for it to be in everything, really. It should be
Exactly.
in taxis, in chairs, airports, restaurants, every room of your house, every surface, the sofa, the cat. Everything should have an NFC chip in it.
NFC cat.
Yeah, because because otherwise it's just not going to be more convenient than reaching for the remote or something.
Yes. Yes, you are right. Well done.
And I think that often, when you're walking around CES and you see these manufacturers who have developed technologies that really only work if everything in your house is made by that one developer, it can be very frustrating.
Yeah.
And the most ridiculous example I saw of this was on the Toshiba stand, where they were talking about every member of the family can have a different account on the television, so they can recommend programs that you might want to watch, because that's easier than choosing your own program. I was thinking, what kind of mad parallel universe is this, where everyone has a Toshiba TV, and they genuinely think it's easier to recommend to their dad what to watch using the social interface on their TV than it just, for example, accessing Twitter. So I do
Or maybe a phone call.
Indeed, yes. Or actually,
No need to talk to me, son. Use
Yeah.
your Toshiba tablet to swipe it.
or the Radio
Onto the
Times, dare I say?
Radio
Yeah.
Times.
Yeah. Or TV Guide for Americans. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I guess one of the big areas for us is always phones. So has this been a phony show or a show phony?
Nice.
You're all phonies. No,
There's
there's
been
been.
a Sony show.
There's been a Sony phone. There's been a phony Sony phone.
We should probably stop now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so there's been basically one or two phones of note but they're more notable by their absence. So Samsung's got no new phones really.
Well, no new phones.
Sorry?
I don't think it's got anything, in fact.
Yeah. And so lots of manufacturers have basically said, oh yeah, we are still making phones, but we're not going to show them off here. So not for CES. They're going to wait for Mobile World Congress, which is a mobile phone-centric trade show in February.
But what have we seen?
What have we seen? We've seen the Sony Xperia Z. That's probably one of the show highlights. So this is, so Sony's stayed away from the making screens enormous fad, which Samsung has embraced wholeheartedly with things like the Galaxy Note and Note 2. But it's decided at last that its phones aren't doing very well, so maybe it should try something that is working for other companies. So the Sony Xperia Z it's a 5-inch quad-core, 13-megapixel camera smartphone. It's basically every bell and whistle. Yay. The thing is, like, a 5-inch phone is not really very exciting. Quad-core's not very exciting because these things have happened before. I mean, it might be perfectly good, but it's not really pushing anything forward. The 13-megapixel camera, though, Sony makes nice cameras.
Well, there is one other feature it has, right? Which is it's waterproof.
Hooray!
That is actually quite useful.
And properly waterproof, if the demonstrations are to be believed.
Yeah.
There's a thing which actually ducks it into water on their stand.
And I'm pretty sure I was reading a press release that said, like, feel free to use your phone in air quotes, water or something, which I think suggested that possibly water is not...
One of the use case scenarios that Sony mentioned at their press conference was, and I quote, blogging in the bathtub. I was thinking, what kind of blog are you writing?
Oh, man.
If you're doing a food blog whilst you're in the bathtub, you've got it wrong.
Well, I can do my job in the bath as well. Oh,
No,
good.
I thought I was I thought it was all gravy doing my job in my pants from bed. I didn't even
but now you can be
consider
in the bath.
I could be in the bath as
Just
well.
don't accidentally access the 13-megapixel camera. That's the issue. Yeah.
There's another massive phone as well, though. I mean, massive in terms of its screen size.
Oh, yeah.
The Huawei Ascent Mate. All right, mate. You got 6.1 inches, jelly bean, and you quad core.
Your processor is knackered. You're going to need a new one. Yeah, this is an enormous phone. Obviously, 6.1 inches is way too big. Or maybe not. If you really like a big phone, it's fine.
I know. I saw the first Galaxy Note, which was 5-something, 0.7 or so, I can't remember. And I thought it was the most ridiculous product ever. I still think it's the most ridiculous product ever. But they're selling,
Yeah,
right?
people like
so
it.
what do I know? So with that in mind, maybe this is the best thing ever. But it's a 6-inch thing. It's like you have to stretch your hand to get around it.
Well, it is, but then it's very easy to say that when we've all got 2 netbooks and 2 laptops and 2 tablets. But actually, if you're just choosing one device and you're upgrading from maybe even a dumb phone to your first smartphone, and you just want one that does stuff that, everyone else might be using a tablet for who's a bit more gadget-centric, I can kind of see that you'd want one with a bigger screen.
Actually, okay. Olly Mann, voice of the people. I like that. Yeah.
Down with the mates, mate.
Okay, so maybe
48 hours of power as well, they claim.
48 hours?
Yes.
No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
I'm not
48
convinced.
hours are being turned off, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
All
can
right.
turn it off for as long as you like.
Yeah.
It's a feature. Yeah.
It literally can be a brick for as long as you like. Okay, right. Those are the main themes of the show. What other cool stuff have we seen?
I've seen we should probably talk about the NVIDIA Shield. The Shield, an odd gaming concept. So you remember last year Razer kind of stole the show with its bizarre tablet with handles on the side.
And that's here again, actually.
That's here
and
again,
it's a
but
real
I think
thing
this
now.
time the handles are detachable.
It's detachable.
So
and you can, anyway,
turning it into
it's very complicated, and it's like $1,500 or something, or $1,200. Anyway,
it's too complicated.
Yeah.
But the NVIDIA Shield, it's a small gaming handheld. It looks a bit like the Nintendo DS. It's got this 5-inch, I think, screen on the top. It plays Android games. That's fine. But what it can also do, which is really interesting, is stream PC games. So the idea is you're playing games on the PC, and you're like, this screen is too big, and this is too comfortable. I would like to go in the other room and play it on my NVIDIA Shield. Or possibly, I don't want to sound too cynical though. It could be useful maybe if, say for example, maybe your wife wants to watch something on television. So you have to stop playing your game, so you can transfer the game onto a different screen. It's an interesting idea.
okay. What have you seen, Ollie?
Can I talk about Vuzix?
Please do.
I'm a big fan of Vuzix. I've been following them for years. They've got quite a big presence in the UK, and if you're interested in the sort of wearable technology space, they're kind of a leader, really. But they don't have the budget of Epson or Sony, who have been getting a lot of press coverage for their kind of wearable cinema screens and all the rest of it, which are worse, like definitely are worse. I've tried them all. The Epson ones are really heavy on your nose. The Sony one, I think you have to plug into the wall, which defeats the whole purpose of being on a plane with it. And Vuzix all along have been doing interesting wearable technology derived from military stuff. And this thing that they brought out for CES, the M100, they haven't announced when it's actually going to be available, and I wonder if indeed it ever will, or whether they just want to steal a march on Google Glasses. And you do feel a bit like the Terminator wearing it. You just sort of want to walk around saying, I'm looking for Sarah Connor. But basically, it's a little monocle that sits there.
A monocle?
It is, but yes.
It's British.
Yeah. And you're walking around and you say, I say, I've got an SMS.
And if you see something very surprising, will it pop off your face?
But anyway, the idea is you can look upwards and it will send you through Bluetooth text messages or whatever from your phone. It pairs with your phone using Bluetooth. And I was sort of skeptical about the whole concept of, they say you can drive with it, and as you're driving, glance upwards and get a message. I'm like, that sounds like a recipe for a car accident.
Yeah.
But I tried it, and I can sort of imagine that. It's no more distracting than actually if you were looking at a sign going past. Hey, there's one right here.
Oh, there you go.
Genuinely did not plan that.
Can we borrow that? Can we see
You know
this?
what you should have
Let's
read, Ollie,
just chuck
with
it up
the-
here and we'll get it on.
With the Bluetooth monocle.
So there you go.
Can I hold it
I don't
up?
know what that's actually paired with now, but can you see anything through it?
Yeah, there's a video on it.
So now say, I'm looking for Sarah Connor.
Looking for Sarah Connor.
See?
That was good. It's like he's really here.
Yeah, really, that's how I did it.
And it's really interesting to see where they're going with next with this, because realistically, I don't think people are going to be buying these, but I do think that's very scary. But I do think,
I'm not listening to you. It looks like I am, but in fact...
I think what they're going towards, this sort of Google Glasses type idea, where you've got a camera maybe embedded in the specs, they basically look like Ray-Bans with, I guess, a phone on board and not a Bluetooth paired device. It's quite exciting stuff.
Okay, apparently this is going to be on the next big, it's going to be on a panel that's coming up anyway. So what else do we see? I'm sorry about that, yeah. Something that I've seen that I really like is it's called the Happy Fork. Now this thing is...
Oh, you don't like this. I'll let you
I
explain,
like
but
the Happy
obviously-
Fork. It's all about the Happy Fork. We're back, we've just passed that back down. This is a fork that's got, that communicates with your smartphone. And if you eat too quickly, it buzzes. The idea being that it helps you lose
Telling me
weight.
how to eat.
Yeah, this fork will tell you. And it will send all that data to a smartphone, and you get a little graph, and you can see how quickly you've eaten and
And does it
all
go
that
in
stuff.
the dishwasher? No. And is it a bit too heavy? Yes. And am I a child? No. I don't want to be told when 10 seconds has gone by. I'm an independent person living in a free country.
I just eat with my hands.
I like the Happy Fork.
No, I like what it's...
It's all
I've
about
upset
the
you now,
Happy
haven't I? I like where it's going. I like the idea of connected devices that used to be not smart. But I just think a fork that tells me when to eat can
Yeah,
cutlery off.
connected devices should give you fun stuff to do and not tell you what to stop doing. Especially if that thing is
all right,
eating.
fair enough. What else have we seen then?
Can I just say on the Happy Fork, I do think for kids it would be good. I think for kids learning how not to eat too quickly, then it's a game, isn't it? Because you don't want it to buzz.
Okay.
I just wanted to get that in.
It is all
you
about
know.
the Happy Fork, honestly.
Yes, yeah.
I've seen a blue... All right, okay, if you don't like the Happy Fork, maybe you'll like the Parrot Bluetooth thingy prong thing. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's called like plant detector, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's a little fork, and you put it in the soil of your plant, and it uses Bluetooth to communicate with an iPad or some such.
Yeah.
You tell the iPad what your plant is, and it tells you when the hap fork, what? Hap fork. I've been told in my ear, like by Sarah Connor. It says you've got to water it in 2 days. You move it to better light, that sort of thing. It's pretty cool. I like it.
It should give it a voice. It should give the plant a voice. It's like, I'm thirsty.
What would your plant say?
It would mostly say, I'm
thirsty.
thirsty. I'm dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dying
I'm
inside.
dead. I died many years ago. Please throw me away. I think as a first generation idea, it's good. I wouldn't buy one now, but when you get to the stage where that kind of technology is built into a plant pot that you buy at home base, then I can imagine that working. You know, if it's actually free or it costs £1 more to get your Bluetooth-enabled plant that tells you when to water it, then you can imagine it working, can't you? And I guess that sort of thing has to come out so they can filter the technology down. But the idea of buying something that costs anything upwards of £3 to put in your plant pot and tell you when to water it, I just can't
Leaf
quite.
it out.
Very good.
Very good.
Wow.
We're coming to the end, unfortunately. So let's just round up by saying what our favourite products of the show were. What about you, Luke?
I'm going to go with Sony's 4K OLED. It blew my mind.
It blew mine as well, I have to say. What about you, Ollie?
This is something that we haven't talked about, but just very briefly.
Okay.
Martian is a new company of smartwatches. And I'm well into the Dick Tracy idea that one day we're going to properly do this, and it's never quite happened. I know there's Pebble and stuff, and it hasn't got a digital display, it's got an analog one. So it looks like a fun analog watch, bright straps, but you can sync it with your phone and see messages and stuff. It's great.
Pretty good. It's all about the happy fork for me. I'm sorry, no one is going to convince me I want the happy fork. All right, well, on that bombshell, thanks so much for joining us. Next up at the top of the hour, some very, very cool and cutting-edge tech. Brian Cooley will host our next Interfaces U panel, so make sure you don't miss it. That's it from all of us. Thanks to everyone for coming down here, and that's it for this year. See you next time.